Hi friends, Grace from the Working Hard podcast here. When you're stretching every dollar, a little goes a long way, and Walmart Business is here to help. They make it easy to order what you need, from tech and cleaning supplies to everyday essentials, all at low prices and with helpful tools like spend tracking and tax-exempt purchasing for eligible organizations. Because when your operations are smooth, your impact can be bigger. Visit business.walmart.com to get started.
Finding ways to be financially savvy is a smart move. And knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream home or new ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
You know what I keep seeing online? People finishing college degrees way faster than you'd expect, like months instead of years. And it hit me. Most people get stuck because they need a faster way to make progress. That's what Study.com is built for. Online college courses on your schedule, at your own pace, on your phone or your laptop, with hundreds of courses that transfer to more than 2,000 colleges and universities. So instead of putting life on hold, join the thousands of students earning their degrees faster and for less at just $95 a month. Go to study.com/podcast to start earning college credit and get 10% off your first month. That's study.com/podcast.
Welcome to the Lessons from the Great Coaches podcast.
I've learned that you don't do it alone.
You learn so many different things from so many different coaches.
That's an elite learning environment.
Failure is not a problem. How you deal with it is a problem.
How to be resilient.
How important it is to infuse joy in the process of learning.
To be a good coach, you've got to give more than you take.
What an interesting life it is to be a leader.
Hello and welcome to the Great Coaches podcast, where we believe that there is no algorithm for leadership, and so we interview great sports coaches from around the world to try and find a couple of ideas to help us all be better leaders. As the podcast has grown, the great coaches we have interviewed have shared so much insight and wisdom that we decided to create episodes dedicated entirely to the ideas that have resonated with us the most. Today's episode focuses on the coaches who the great coaches we have interviewed have called out for praise or recognition. And we put this episode together because we wanted to hear from you. If there is a coach who's had an impact on your life, then we'd like to hear from you. Grab your phone and send us a recording explaining who they are and what they did that resonated with you, and then we'll put all the audio files together into a listener episode. The details on where to email your recordings are in the show notes. And just before we go to the podcast, this episode is dedicated to John Rea, who recently passed away. John is the father of Caitie, who works with us here on the podcast.
You're listening to the Lessons from the Great Coaches podcast.
Here is Jenny Busek, one of the first females to coach in the NBA.
And actually, Mike D'Antoni shared something with me when I was getting ready to go into my first head coaching job, and I was young. I was 31 years old. At that time, I was going to be the youngest head coach in professional sports in the United States. He was coaching the great Phoenix Suns team with Steve Nash, and they were on a great run there. And happened to connect with him through some interesting circumstances. That's another story. But he really took me under his wing, and he said some things to me and imparted some things to me, especially in regards to leadership, that stuck out. He was a player's coach, and he was known for that. And his style was very different, especially at that time, to most NBA coaches. And he said this to me: you have to know who you are. I'm a player's coach. I'm a relational coach. But when you are different to the norm, you have less margin for error, but it's still critical that, you are true to who you are. And so it made me think, really going into that first head coaching job for the first time, like really, really think like, okay, who am I? What has been my leadership style up to this point as a player, as an assistant coach? And how can I commit to being intentional and staying true to that through thick and thin?
Here is the swimming coach, Bob Bowman, who coached Michael Phelps and Leon Marchand.
I tried to learn, everything I could from each coach that I worked with or came along. John Urbanchek, good example. I tried to learn how his whole system worked. And then I took parts of that and put it into my system. But I didn't just take his system and just keep doing it. So I think each one of those great coaches has taken the best parts of what they learned from other people and put it together with their personalities and in their system, and have evolved that into something that is consistently successful. So I'd say that's what they have in common.
This is the Australian rules football coach, Damien Hardwick.
Probably the thing that I've found is each is different and probably authentic to themselves, if that makes sense. Like I look at the great Kevin Sheedy, who I played for about 13 or 14 years and was very fortunate to be a part of his tenure at Essendon. And, this is a guy that coached me for 153 games. So every week he had to think of something to motivate me as a player to play, not only for the jumper, but also my team, but also for him. And that was the great thing about Sheeds. He was an incredible motivator of men. He had this uncanny knack, even though we were one of the best sides in the competition, to always make it feel us against them. He had an incredible sense of belonging with the team that he brought you along in the journey. And it's one of those things I think I took from him first and foremost, was a sense of belonging and team unity that was really important.
This is Don Showalter, an American basketball coach.
And so I think the great coaches are a little bit different in the aspect of very organized. And what I mean by organization is they not only are organized with their practice plans and writing down things, but they're also very organized with their thoughts, how they're going to teach. And I think that's one of the things that John Wooden was very good at. Jay Wright is a good friend of mine as well. And I think he's really spectacular at doing things that they know how to present something. So being organized in that aspect. Of course, Coach K is probably one of the top people in that.
Hi friends, Grace from the Working Hard podcast here. When you're stretching every dollar, a little goes a long way, and Walmart Business is here to help. They make it easy to order what you need from tech and cleaning supplies to everyday essentials, all at low prices and with helpful tools like spend tracking and tax-exempt purchasing for eligible organizations. Because when your operations are smooth, your impact can be bigger. Visit business.walmart.com to get started.
Finding ways to be financially savvy is a smart move. And knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream home or new ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This time, it's Michael Bowl, a swimming coach.
I think they're all individual and kind of do things their own way. They don't follow, the well-trodden path. They're looking for new ways of doing things. And there's a great history with Olympic swimming in Queensland. And I think, the people that have gone before us have been very generous with what they've shared. And I think it's really helped fast track a lot of us coaches that are around my age and maybe even a little bit younger. So, very, very grateful to the influence that they've had on me.
And one of my favourites from Bill Curry, an American football coach.
Lombardi had the gift of a kind of a rhetoric that was painful. It hurt, and you didn't want to hear it again for the rest of you. You didn't want to hear it the rest of your life. So he could force feed his system into you in ways that, whether you liked it or not, if you were going to stay there, number one, you weren't going to be a racist. And number two, you were going to run the system that he told you that he designed, and you were going to implement his system, or you were going to be on the next Greyhound out. Don Shula had this remarkable capacity to be the hardest of all. He had the capacity to look into your soul. He did this for me. And he could see something in you that you had not seen in yourself. He would say, you can do this when you had not thought you could do it.
Here is the rugby coach, Damien McGrath.
Bob Fulton said to me, he said, I know you're a young coach. He said, let me tell you now, don't surround yourself with your friends and yes men. Get the best coaches you can, the best staff you can. He said, because you can't rely on other people. You don't want yes men. You want people who are going to challenge you. You want people who are going to make you think about things. He said, you don't want people who are either going to agree with you or say what their friends down the pub are telling them.
This is Frank Dick, a track and field coach.
So, for example, with Eddie Jones, one of the things that I learned very early on from him strongly is just how good he is at questioning and challenging, and almost intuitively looking for different ways of doing things. Right? No matter how good something has been or how well it's going, he'll look for another way to do it. And I think that bit of curiosity, that bit of demand for seeing the world differently is really pretty important.
And here is the cricket coach, Kevin Sharp.
When I first met Ruth, it was kind of like, well, she just had presence. That's the best thing I could say. She was kind of like so respected. When she spoke, you listened. Everybody listened, but she'd got such a nice manner about her that she created that culture and environment that we talked about earlier. You felt as though you were part, she made you feel part of a team. She gave you that trust and ownership that the other coaches have done that we talked about. So you felt really kind of like responsible and playing your part. She allowed fun, laughter. However, it had to be professional. So fun and laughter was at the right time, not at the wrong time. Because when it comes down to training and practice and preparation, get on with it now. But she didn't almost have to say that. You knew it. And she was adored by the girls.
And finally, the Australian rules football coach, Penny Cooler-Reid.
I think my experience with the greats of Nathan Buckley and Andy Collins is how they build relationships with their players. And we see more often now how important that is to understand the person first and then the player second. But I definitely think that that's something that can separate the good coaches to the great coaches, is how you are able to find the best out of your players by understanding how they operate, what makes them tick, and then also how to really see and adjust training sessions or your language or your body language to make sure that you know that you care about them as a person, and at the end of the day, the results don't matter because you're there for them.
You're listening to the Lessons from the Great Coaches podcast.
Hi everyone, you have been listening to our episode on great coaches and the coaches that have influenced them. I hope you got a few ideas out of it, and it led to some reflections on the coaches that have had an influence on your life. And just before we go, if you have any feedback, then please let us know. Just like Matt Hine, who after listening to our episode with Gail Gostenkas said, very important messages here. We leaders make mistakes. Errors and pressure of leadership is real. Thanks, Matt. If you enjoyed this episode and know a coach that you want to call out for thanks, then grab your phone and send us a recording explaining who they are and what they did that influenced you. Then we'll put them all together into a listener episode. All the details on how to connect with us are in the show notes or on our website, thegreatcoachespodcast.com.
Walmart Business is in the business of helping your business, regardless of whether you're building bridges, building spreadsheets, or building lesson plans. Ooh, that looks fun. Walmart Business can help save you time, money, and hassle so you can focus on what you're building instead of what your supply closet is missing. In short, we take care of business so you can do more with yours. We're the Walmart you love, now for your business. Learn more at business.walmart.com.
Finding ways to be financially savvy is a smart move. And knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream home or new ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
You know what I keep seeing online? People finishing college degrees way faster than you'd expect, like months instead of years. And it hit me. Most people get stuck because they need a faster way to make progress. That's what Study.com is built for. Online college courses on your schedule, at your own pace, on your phone or your laptop, with hundreds of courses that transfer to more than 2,000 colleges and universities. So instead of putting life on hold, join the thousands of students earning their degrees faster and for less at just $95 a month. Go to study.com/podcast to start earning college credit and get 10% off your first month. That's study.com/podcast.